Surprise, surprise.
For Pete's sake.
Okay, are we at the last? No, not quite. Next item is the Colbert Dare Triplex at 1048 47th Street.
And Miru
And-
will present this application. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Sudhi.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
My goodness. Gee, that duplex.
Oh, we're at the triplex.
I just
Wishful thinking, huh? Hmm? I think it is, what, if this, as long as we
Right.
get some good tenants in there. Yeah, they want to have it, yeah.
Good
I
evening,
think
Chairman,
this
Martin, and members of the Commission. I'd like to ask you, would you like me to go through the presentation, or would you, I mean, I don't have nothing to add.
I think
Other
it's
than from
important,
staff
if there
report.
is anyone out there listening, to
Okay.
just briefly go through the proposal.
Sure.
Thanks for
Okay.
asking, though.
All right. Okay, so what we have today is a small residential project in the Triangle area. And it's located on 47th Street between San Pablo and Adeline Street. What we have is an existing structure. It used to be a single-family residence. It got converted into 5 illegal units. The building official who you met earlier in the evening issued an abatement order asking the property owner to correct some of the violations, which essentially revolves around the construction of 5 illegal units. So the proposal basically removes the 5 illegal units and establishes a duplex in the existing structure. In addition to that, the proposal also includes construction of a new detached, about 1,300 square foot building. There's a garage on the first level and a 1-unit apartment on the second and the third levels. Because it's in the RM area and it's a multifamily project, it requires a conditional use permit. The proposal meets the density requirements as well as is compatible with the density in the surrounding area, which is a mix of single-family, duplexes, and small multi-unit apartment buildings. The site, in the immediate vicinity, you have a
Compassionate
apartment
guy, too.
building. This is 4 units. This is a single-family residence right here. Directly opposite, there is a single-family residence and a 5-unit apartment building. So we believe that the proposed density is compatible with what is around in the immediate vicinity as well as in the surrounding area. The proposal also requests numerous variances, and I'll go through those quickly and briefly. I'll start with the main building first. The 1 unit is being proposed in the basement, and then the main unit or the second unit is in the main level. What happens is that in order for the basement to have the legal floor-to-ceiling height, the floor is going to be raised by 4 feet, bringing the height from 31 to 35. The maximum building height in this area is 30 feet. We feel that this proposal can be, this variance can be supported primarily because it's going to correct a building code violation, as well as the bulk of the roof will still remain within the 30-foot limit, and it's only the main ridge which will sort of go up over the 30-feet limit. The second variance that is associated with the main structure are the existing stairs, which are on the side here. The proposal involves alteration to meet building code and will maintain a 2 feet setback where 3 is the minimum required. The stairs are existing, it's not really going to alter any kind of what's already existing in terms of perception to the neighbors. Having said that, just so that you know, the stairs are not necessary to comply with any kind of a building entry and exit codes.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
Moving on to the main house, the new construction of the new structure in the front. This requires a couple of variances as well. The first one is the front yard setback. The front yard setback in the RM zone is calculated to be the average of the front setbacks of the two adjacent sites. And that calculates to 22.5 feet. So the required setback here would be 22.5, and the proposed is 18, thereby requiring a variance. And staff believes this can be supported because this is the 22.5-foot setback is fairly unusual, and it's driven by the fact that the adjacent apartment building maintains like a 29 feet setback, and it maintains that mainly to accommodate parking. The entire front yard, 29 feet, are paved, and it's used for parking, which is really not the purpose of front yards. Also, a typical front yard in a low-density, single-family residential neighborhood is 15 in most cities, in most areas. And what is being proposed is 18, which is higher than what is usual even in a single-family residential zones. And it is also a little bit more than the existing single-family house on the side. So staff, just to let you know it here. So it's slightly about the more, it's about half a foot more than the single-family, the setback the single-family has on the next side. Parking, that's where another variance is being requested. The way the parking plan is proposed is there's going to be a two-car parking garage and 2 tandem spaces in front of it, and then 1 non-tandem space right here. The way it will work is that the 4 spaces here will accommodate the duplex here, so that each unit in the duplex will have 1 covered and 1 uncovered parking space. And the unit on top of here will have this space. The total that is required by our parking regulations is 4. They are proposing 5. And the variance that they are requesting is to allow a non-tandem parking space in the front yard where none are allowed. So if we wanted to eliminate this particular variance, he could push the parking space behind. And that, staff believes, will not really achieve the purpose of what's the intention of the front yard. It will reduce the open space here, and you will still have a driveway, so the paved look, the parking lot look is not going to go away, and we feel that we can support this variance. As far as how the new building is going to look like, it's in terms of design, that's another permit that's before you. It basically meets roughly the same roof lines of the existing building, and it's similar in terms of colors and materials as well. I'll just show you. It's right here. So this is going to be the new building. This is the existing structure in the background. The height, it's going to maintain the height. It's about going to be 29 feet. And that sort of concludes my presentation. If there are any questions.
Questions? I actually, do you have a copy of the landscape plan there that you can put on the screen, please? I noticed in the front of the building, next to the parking space in the northwest corner, there's a 6-foot high fence and an 8-foot high fence. Isn't there a 4-foot high fence limit in the front yard of the units? And I'm just curious whether that needs to be addressed. First, why we need to have a 6 and an 8-foot high fence, and whether there's a need for a variance there.
It's a trellis, 8 foot.
Oh,
Is that what you were?
Well, there are two things. You just north of the westernmost parking stall, it says a 6-foot high vine-covered something or other, wood and wire combo fence, and then above that is an 8-foot high fence. Do you see that along the west side? So my questions are, first, do we need a variance for that in the front yard? And second, why is that proposed rather than being able to see into the yard area and appreciate the green that we're trying to get in the front yard?
that's right. I think we missed that. In front setback areas, let's see.
I believe it's 4 feet.
4 or could be
Within,
4.5.
no, it's within required front yards and side yards abutting a street, so it wouldn't apply to the side yard in this case, but within the front yard, and in this case, as Miru said, the front yard is 22 and a half feet.
And that 22
So,
is about right here.
if this fence is less than 22.5 feet from the front property line, then it's in the front yard area. The maximum height of solid fences in the front yard area is 3 feet. Except, what? Oh, except if, well, basically if it's parallel to the side lot line. If it's parallel to the side lot line, it can be up to 6 feet. If it's an open fence, meaning like a chain link or a
Right.
wrought iron or whatever, then it can be up to 4.5 feet.
Okay.
Quite frankly, the fences weren't really discussed, and yes, I did miss that. I
Okay.
didn't notice that, and also the lands. There is this whole thing.
Needs-
There's a condition of
needs
approval.
work.
Yeah, yes, of course. And there is a condition of approval which asks him to give us a more detailed landscape plan, and that was the point at time when we were going to review what exactly he was proposing. However, if something like this requires a variance, I'm sure he can talk to us about that, and there's really no reason to support a variance on a height. I'm sure he can accommodate and make changes.
Is the applicant here tonight?
Yes, he is.
Okay. The other question I have is with regard to the access on the east side of the existing residence. And you didn't show the attic space, which is accessed by the stairway that drops down through the middle of the unit and physically provides access to that stairway on the east side that is going to be replaced and requires a variance. And I'm curious if that stairway was built by permit, or did that appear with the 5 magical units that were constructed on the property? I guess that's, yeah, if you would, Victor. As long as you sat through the whole meeting tonight. I saw.
Chair, Commissioners, good evening. My name is Vic Gonzalez, Chief Building Official, City of Emeryville. Thank you for the earlier warm welcome as stated. Appreciate that. Yes, I have personal experience with this building here. Did an investigation, code compliance investigation back in June, I believe. I had the field staff with me of one building inspector as well as the community preservation officer. The stairs that that you brought up there, Chairperson, is it actually accesses the attic area, if I recall, and that is the only access area to it. I mean, essentially the stairs go to the attic and that's it. Those stairs are required on the side to allow that. Now, they're non-compliant at this particular time. If they were to, if we were going to convert that to, it's my understanding it's going to be the second floor for the unit. Is that correct?
The third floor.
Yeah, it's,
Access to the third floor.
the attic space is going to be part of the second, this unit. So this and this is going to be one unit. And then the basement will have the second unit.
Okay, so if I'm hearing this right, then those stairs there are access to the second floor then
Yes, second floor of that unit.
of that particular unit.
Third floor of the building, second floor of
Okay,
that
so
unit.
the side stairs access would have to be upgraded, essentially. But the problem there is that the stairs themselves would have to be protected, 0 to 3 feet. Openings are not permitted. 3 to 5 feet, they would be protected, and beyond 5 feet, unprotected. So basically what I'm saying is that it would have to be out of some sort of fire resistive of construction. A permit would be obtained and the actual provisions be invoked at that time.
Victor, if you could clarify for us, if these stairs were removed completely, would that be okay?
Because there is
Because
access
there
to
is-
the,
To the second floor.
The stairs, well, again, those stairs are there specifically to access that second floor, that proposed second floor, that second unit.
But there's an internal stair that provides access to the attic.
That's correct. But again, you're going to have to go up these east stairs to get to that.
well, there's actually an
No, it's
existing door.
internal.
Floor.
It's
There's
internal.
there's a door that on the, what will be the second level, there is a door right where your finger there is that opens into the central bedroom. Go back to the side entrance, go through the front door, the door there, and off to the right. No, you're correct. Go
Okay.
back to the side entrance and go through the door into the building, and off to the right, there's a door at the bottom of the stairs. At the bottom of the stairs.
Okay.
Or at the top. You go back to the door into the side of the building. That,
Oh, you were there.
we're close. Right where the tip of the pen is. See the swing there? There you go. That door is an existing door.
That door certainly is existing. The issue that I have with that is that the stairs that lead up to the attic area now presently, they are encroaching in that. The stair stringers are what support the runs of the stairs. That is encroaching in that doorway presently. So in other words, it is, number one, presently it's not code compliant. Number two, and the reason why it's not code compliant because it's a tripping hazard for any specific
Why can't
occupants in that
those
building.
stairs be improved?
So I guess the question that's coming up here is, if the internal stairs within that, what will become a two-floor unit, second and third floor combined into a single unit, if the internal stairs were to be upgraded and thus compliant, would there be a need for the outdoor stairs?
In my mind, I would say no.
Right.
Okay. Well, the last question I have before we hear from the applicant and open the public hearing is, in the unauthorized subdivision of the property, was the attic space a separate unit? Because when I look at that plan on the right side of the screen, it has a full bathroom. It has right there what looks like a kitchen sink and a possible stove and refrigerator kitchen area and a functional space there. So I'm curious if that was a separate unit.
Mr. Chair, yes, it was. It was a completely self-contained second unit.
Okay. Thanks.
And if I just may make a further comment here, there are cooking facilities up there as well, if I recall.
Oh.
So, again, that pretty much prompted me to state that, yes,
Okay.
that is the case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions of staff? Would the applicant like to make a brief presentation? Or be available for questions? Okay. Okay. Why don't we open the public hearing? Is there anyone wishing to speak on this item? Forrest sat through the meeting here
Is
for
that
us.
why you were here?
I live across the street.
We thought
Let
you
us know
just
who you
came
are,
because you
Forrest.
liked us.
Forest G, 1043 47th Street. I live across from that property. It was being used as 5 separate units. The attic was being used as a separate unit. That outside stairs was used to access that. My concern is if that front building maintains the character of the back building, the primary building. It's a very distinctive building, Victorian. One of the distinctive Victorians on the block. I have hesitations about allowing a new building in front of that building because it's so distinctive and historical for the neighborhood. I don't have any problems with him lifting the building and accommodating a second unit there on the bottom level in the basement, which was very low and had 3 units being used at that time. The other concern I have is on the rear west part of the building. There was an addition. I don't know if that was permitted or legal.
Right.
It doesn't
bedroom.
doesn't look to be.
Right.
I would have less hesitations about lifting the building, rolling it forward, and then putting a second unit behind the building because the facade is so unique. Thank you.
Thanks, Forrest. Anyone else wishing to speak on this item? Well, let's close the public hearing. Questions of staff or direct questions of the applicant? I do have a question to the applicant. In the staff report, can you please come up to the microphone and introduce yourself to us, please?
My name is Colbert. I'm the applicant.
Okay, thanks. In the staff report, there's a reference to developing condos on the property,
Correct.
but it's not part of our current application, and I'm just curious if you can describe to us what your intention is with the property and explain the attic use and why you need the stairway entrance on the east side of the building.
Okay, might be a long story, but I'll make it short.
Okay?
I came upon this property basically just by driving by, and I sold my wife's condo that was in South San Francisco. Ever since then, I was supposed to find one in replacement of that. This one came about, which she loved. And so the reason why, well, initially when I came to the planning department, my idea was to demolish the building and make 4 units, 6 units out of there. I realized that this neighborhood has character, and I knew that wasn't a good idea. As an investor, I was looking more towards the investment point of view, but I'm also an architect designer, so I do like to keep within the character of the neighborhood. So the plan came to where I was going to keep the building and make it a worthwhile investment. So I thought I'd kill 2 birds with 1 stone. One was make it a worthwhile investment by at least making it 3 condos units, and 2, I can make up for the condo that I sold for my wife. That was 5 years ago. She's been nagging me since. So that's why I made it a condo. She's considering taking the unit that has the attic. We're gonna take one of those units. I live in Mill Valley, but my wife has a big family and a lot of relatives, so she wants to keep the unit. She loves being in Emeryville. So the one she's considering right now is that middle unit with the attic. It's either that one or possibly the lower unit. I don't know right now. It's her choice. The reason why she wanted the one in the middle with the attic is because with her family and 4 nephews and nieces, the top attic I was gonna raise it. Right now it has little partitions in between. I'm gonna take those all off and just make it one nice open space, which would be for the kids. The kids would go there and they would go down through the sideway rather than running inside the house. That's the reason why I was keeping that side stair.
Okay. Any other questions to the applicant or staff? Thanks.
Well, actually, one question, concern that your neighbor across the street, Forrest, had was with the proposed front house. How closely would that mimic or resemble the architecture of the more classic Victorian house, and address his concerns on that?
Well, actually, as a designer, I know that's always a sensitive issue, whether you want to duplicate what's there or do something that resembles it, but at the same time displays the existing property that is there. That's more my idea. If I duplicate the single-family unit above the garage, I think you're gonna lose the building in the background. The idea I had is to keep the same proportion, which if you look on the plans, you can see the roof line almost resembles exactly what's there right now. In terms of material, I was thinking of doing just a slight difference, mainly with the metal roof. The metal roof, basically, what that's gonna do is, when I walked around the block after I was doing this design, I noticed that on the corner of Adeline and 47th Street, they have a property there that took a step up from the character of the neighborhood. And that's actually what sparked me to look in that neighborhood. It's sort of created a new look, but at the same time retain the character of the neighborhood. So I'm trying to maintain the proportion of the existing building, but at the same time, I want to introduce a little design that gives an upbeat to that block, which when I walk that block, I I think there were several buildings there that really needed some renovation or some upkeep. So that's what I'm trying to do. I like to get neighbors to say, hey, this guy can do this, it looks pretty nice. Why don't we do something to our building? And that's my idea. You know, if you like it to be exactly the same as this building, you know, well, it's not my choice, but I'd rather not. I don't think that's really, really important. It's important to be in proportion with the existing building, but I don't think it needs to be material exactly, color exactly. That's my idea.
Any other questions? Discussion? Comments? Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's going to start? I've got
I'm
specifics if I can take the lead, unless you want to start.
I have two comments. One is that I don't see the need whatsoever for the exterior stair to access the second floor of the two-story unit. There's no good reason why the inside stair can't accommodate the first and the second floor of that second story unit. That would be my first comment, and I would like to see that removed from the plan. I want to make a comment about the front building. Given the character of 47th Street and the houses that are along 47th Street, particularly this building, I don't think that one window that's almost the size of a garage door that faces the street is an appropriately scaled fenestration, given the context of the buildings. And the metal roof, you've indicated a metal garage door and metal roofs, which may be in keeping along San Pablo or along 40th Street, but along 47th Street, I also don't think that material choice is necessarily very appropriate. I would prefer to see, in this case, different materials chosen for the roof and potentially the garage doors. And I would also like to see a smaller scale fenestration or window pattern on the front side of the building facing the street.
Joe?
Yeah, can I ask a question? What's your issue with the outside stair?
It encroaches on the side lot, and it doesn't seem to me to be necessary in any way in terms of access to that second floor. As a unit, the inside stair works perfectly fine. The outside stair is a kind of secondary use. And if it seems to me that the inside stair is plenty. I just don't
but
think
I mean, I as long as the encroachment, but as far as I'm concerned, if he wants to put an outside stair and there's not an issue, that's okay. But I understand that issue. Okay.
I think in response to the question and the point I was trying to make, and the previous illegal use of the property, you look at the floor plan and it's an invitation to subdivide that property if we have that external stairway on. It happened before, it's going to happen again.
And that's another point.
Right.
That's exactly what.
So
I didn't
in my
want to say
mind,
that.
the combination,
You wanted to be
the
polite.
combination of the requirement for a variance and the likelihood that that could become a separate space warrants removing that as an access and simplifying the design, bringing it back to its original character, and maybe as a trade-off, allowing the bedroom on the west side to stay there. The footings to that bedroom look like it's been there a long time. I'm not sure, but you know, design-wise, I think it'd be nice to have that removed as well. But it's been there a long time, and I think it helps improve the living space of that middle floor. But anyone else with comments?
I agree. I don't see any need for that outside stair. And as particularly since we're looking at a variance, I just can't justify it. And Jennifer, your comments on the window treatment are right on. I missed that one. I'm glad you caught it. I agree. I think we should have something that more generally reflects the character of the building and the window treatment in some of the surrounding area as well. For example, Forrest's house.
Everyone else finished?
I have no comments.
I guess back to my point about the fence in the front yard. No one else spoke about that, but I don't see a need for creating another wall. The building itself will serve as a wall. And it's great that we're going to have some green space in front of this wonderful building, but let's not have vine-covered or solid wood, something that extends above the required height limit in the front yard. And Charlie?
We have a standard condition of approval that requires a landscape plan, and it says the plan shall conform to Article 54 of Chapter 4 of Title 9, of the fence height restrictions that I was just reading are part of Article 54.
Okay.
So that kind of takes care of
Ties
it.
it together, good.
Yeah.
And the other point about the 8-foot fence, regardless of whether it's in a front yard setback or not, that property to the west of you, the apartment complex, there are windows there. And I don't know the history of how that apartment was built, but the reality is there are windows there within 6 inches of the fence. That's where that lower level gets its light and its air. And I don't think it's appropriate to allow for an 8-foot fence beyond that front setback. I can't address the history of that apartment complex to the west, but we don't want to create a situation where people who live in a space don't have any light or air in their bedrooms. So I would like to see the fence height along the west side of the property, actually along the east side as well, kept to no higher than 6 feet, which I think is the existing building height.
Also in Article 54, It says a maximum of 6 feet may be allowed anywhere behind a required yard.
Okay. And my last point is the landscape plan. And you have a long ways to go. You've got a great potential to improve the front of that building and complement the old building there. And part of my mind in allowing that additional unit in the front yard area is a trade-off with the understanding you're going to improve that frontage experience. And I like the discussion in the staff report about creating tire strips rather than a concrete driveway. I think it will be an improvement, but you've got a long ways to go. Your landscape plan right now says bark chips or ground cover. And in my mind, the concrete has to go. We need something that's really nice in that front yard area, given the trade-offs that the neighborhood's going to have to live with. And I think overall you could have a nice home there with a usable space. And I'm not sure whether Charlie needs something more specific in the landscape.
Woodbark?
Well, yeah, wood chips and concrete. You address the concrete issue, but I assume you'll carry the landscape plan as far as it needs to go. And my last point is the reality of garages, and I'm guilty of it myself. But when you've got a garage and you've got tandem parking in front of it, that garage tends to become storage space. And if you are creating a condo development here in the future, I would like there to be a condition of approval that says if and when it goes to condo, that the CCNRs require that garage space be used for parking your vehicle, not exclusively for storage. And I think that's something that's conventionally done as a requirement in a CCNR, because I have that in my own condo development.
My question is, if we're going to be allowing garages in there, do we have to wait until it goes to condo for that? I mean, can we just make that as a part of the conditions of approval for this structure period?
Oh,
that we have standard things that say no, that it has to be required or used for its
garage.
For parking purposes only, and no inoperable vehicles and boat trailers and all of that stuff. Let's just put it in there from the get-go.
That makes sense, Charlie?
Yes, absolutely.
Can I ask the developer if he agrees to some of the changes that we've already
Do you want to come up to the
asked?
microphone, please?
Just to see where he's at this? Because there's a few things.
Yeah.
Let me ask the things, and then you can. The first thing is the fences. You understand that you've got some fence work to do.
In terms of the Article 54 that
Yeah.
Right.
Mr.
Various
Bryan
fence
brought up.
heights and things.
I just want to give you my reason for the 8-foot, first of all.
No, you understand, no, I mean, you understand that you're bound by the article, so you've got to bring, there is no 8-foot, there's a 6-foot, right? You understand that?
Is there,
Unless you obtain a variance, which is not part of this current application,
Right.
you would have to abide by the code within the front yard setback area.
okay.
And I
But-
think the side yard setback is 6.
It's 6.
Right, for that building,
Yeah.
for that height.
And I'm telling you right now, I don't think you're going to get a variance from this commission on the fence side.
The
So.
front yard is 6 feet,
Side yard.
Four,
4 feet.
No,
Four and a
Side
half.
yard
Four
is
and a
6
half
feet.
for an open fence, 3 feet for a solid fence in the front yard.
Front yard.
And 6 feet on the side yard.
Right.
so that's one thing.
Okay.
The second thing is, I agree with everybody on the side stairwell. That's the side, the exterior one, you have to get rid of that. You have to improve the interior one to go forward here. As far as the window treatment, I'm gonna leave that up to other folks. And then the other thing is the landscape plan. There's gotta be greenery there, and I think is where Jim's coming from, and I agree with that. So those are the things that I see which are directly changing to what you were proposing. Do you see those as something that you can do?
And then there would be the addition of clarification that the garage is for the garage.
Good point, yeah. So those are the things.
I believe there were also issues about the materials
That's
of
correct.
the
The
roof.
metal doors and
and
the metal
door.
roof.
Want me to go through each one of those?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of the fence, I would actually like the 8-foot on the west side. The apartment now does not have any windows on that side because it's right up to the property line. You can't have windows at property line. So it is just a blank wall.
No, there are windows there on the ground floor level. I was there today. There's a whole bank of windows along that entire property line. That's why I raised the issue. The upper level has very few windows, but there are windows on the ground level on the west side to the west of your property.
So-
Behind that fence, perhaps you couldn't see over the fence.
Okay. Well, the only reason for the 8-foot fence was because when I first went there, I was looking at the property. I saw 2 guys right in the back of that building exchanging drugs. So that's the reason for the 8-foot fence. The reason for the 6-foot fence in the front is for the security also. I'm skeptical because of when I went there, I really thought Emeryville in that neighborhood was really pretty safe. After I started talking to the neighborhoods, I realized right down 4 buildings down, another apartment is where it used to be a big drug bust every week with the police department. So I saw firsthand the week I got there, and I realized that that is a problem there. Yes, I've been talking to my neighbors, and I have talked to about 8 neighbors so far. The reason why I designed the unit in the front with the balcony is mainly because that looks like a lookout in terms of security, so I was hoping that would help. Just letting you know, that's the reason why I designed it that way. In terms of the material, in one sense, I like to work with metal. If you're totally against that, then of course I have no choice. But, I'm not opposed to it, to looking at other materials, because first of all, metal is 3 times more costly than composition shingle. I don't think it actually looks nicer than composition shingle, but it's more expensive, so I save money. The windows, that's fine. I think that's a nice idea. I'd be happy to do that. And if there's something else I could do more, I don't mind doing that either.
The side access on the east side to the attic space.
Well, in my house that I have now, I have the same situation. I have a side stairs that goes up to my 3rd floor because it was the same reason that we have all our nephews and kids. They use that during the daytime and nighttime, and they don't bother running through the middle of the house. So that would be a downer. I would have to ask, that's really more something I'm gonna ask my wife about. But it's the same situation we have right now in our house. The CCNR, I have no problem with that. If these are going to be condos, I have no problem with that.
That's
The
related to
landscape,
the storage in the garage.
That's
Related to no storage in the garage.
that's right. I mean, if that, I would have to say right now, I'm saying it now, I have no problem with that, but I just hope it's a fair addition that you're asking me to do. Is it something that's standard with everybody else who wants to build garage? Do you ask them to put that in their CCNR with condos developments?
Absolutely, yeah.
As long as it's fair, I won't, have any problem with that. Landscaping, I'd be happy to do whatever I can to make it as lush and tropical and bring out all the greens as possible. Reason why I'm in Mill Valley is because I love greens. The thing I have hesitant on doing too much of green is this is a condo unit. Nobody maintains it. If it was a single-family home, that's different. Condo units, it's going to work on sprinkler systems, and nobody's going to really be out there monthly or weekly cutting weeds and everything. So it could look worse if you don't have maintenance on it. So it has to be to the point where it looks nice, it has greens, but it is maintenance-free.
Yeah, I actually need to correct you on that because part of any condo agreement is a maintenance provision. That's just a bottom line requirement. If this went to condos, you would have to have provisions for routine maintenance of the property and make sure that the property is kept up. It may not be the tenants or the owners of the condos. They can hire someone to do it, but the property needs to be maintained. And obviously it's easier to maintain concrete than landscaping, but in my mind, the trade-off you're getting with the additional unit in the front and the other variances certainly justify carrying this forward in its improvement in the landscaping. And I think probably everybody agrees with that.
Definitely agree. So let me, I'm sorry, let me drive this a little bit farther. So from what I get from your body language and everything else, your real concern is the security and the fence. And Charlie, there's probably ideas that the police, Ken James, have and everything else in terms of making sure that you have a secure property and still going with the guidelines that we have developed. We have lots of areas that are safe that follow this. Additionally, your development is probably going to make that whole block safer in the aspect that you've gotten rid of a number of non-conforming units and now are going to bring a family in. So that's going to help us out there too. So we don't want to, bring in a stabilizing force and yet still have this fortress kind of thing. But we certainly understand your issue. So maybe we can help him with security ideas and everything else so that you can still feel safe.
Emeryville does have a very fast response time for police because we're such a small city and we have a relatively large police force in relation to the size of the city. I'd also point out that the city does have a city-sponsored concrete buyback and wrought iron fence grant program, which Commissioner Troiting is quite familiar with.
Indeed.
And those fences that are sponsored by the city, which are all over the Triangle neighborhood, comply with the height standards of the zoning ordinance. And I'm not aware that there's been security problems where those have been put in.
Not at all.
So, thank you. I think my sense is we had concurrence, and I think we've got clear direction from the majority of the commission on the.
I think, for me, I'm not sure that you really are quite concurring on the side stairs. I know that what I noted was still a whole lot of hesitance on that. I think that the sense of the commission, if I'm not mistaken, is this is gone. That the side stairways will not be a part of this project, and you can live with that.
I don't think it's really me that's living with it. It's going to be my wife who's gonna have to live with it.
Well,
I'm living with
we
it now.
will, yeah, we will either approve the project
Right.
without it,
Right, I
or
understand.
we will not approve the project, I think is where
Or-
this is going.
Or we may contribute to 2 dozen roses when you tell her.
Okay.
So
That's
yeah.
his suggestion.
Yeah,
Could we direct the applicant as to where to get information about the concrete buyback and wrought iron fence grant?
We can certainly provide information about that. There was another project across the street and down a little bit where there was a condition of approval that they remove the concrete in the front yard and put in a wrought iron fence. We did not require that they take advantage of the city's programs, but I believe that they did. And we certainly gave them information and put them in touch with the community preservation officer. The same person who came out to investigate these illegal units is the same person who administers the wrought iron fence and concrete buyback program.
That's great.
Great.
Thanks, Chuck.
So you'll work with the applicant, we understand that.
Yes.
So can we have a motion with the modifications that have been
Mo-
discussed, or do we need that, Charlie? Do you have, I think, the concurrence with the commission
let me
on those
summarize.
changes?
I believe you wish to approve the project with the following modifications. Fences are to comply with the heights as required by Article 54. There's to be no side stairs on the east side, and the interior stairs are to be improved to code so they can work as internal stairs. Windows in the front of the new building in the front will be reduced in size to be more in keeping with the existing building. Lots of greenery in the landscaping. The metal is not to be used for either the garage door or the roof of the new building. And the garage is not to be used for storage, only for parking.
And I think as pointed out by Commissioner Martin, landscaping, particularly if it goes to condos, will be addressed in CC&Rs.
Landscape maintenance?
Landscape maintenance, correct. And with all of that, I would move approval.
Second.
A roll on that?
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
right. Okay, moved, where's my agenda? Moved by Commissioner Troiting and seconded by Commissioner Owens. On the motion, Commissioner Brooke,
Aye.
Commissioner Kane,
Aye.
Commissioner Lutz.
Aye.
Commissioner Owens,
Aye.
Commissioner Troiting,
Aye.
Vice Chair Jeffrey,
Aye.
Chair Martin.
Aye.
7 ayes, the application is approved.
Congrats. We look forward to seeing that happen.
Good luck with your wife. So the last